commonly when I work with couples, things like how to talk about sex with their teens come up, because you're dealing with a sex therapist, right? And we're already talking about sex. The reality is when you have teenagers, they are sexual people. They are getting interested in sex. Their hormones are going crazy. So it's hard not to ask that question. Okay, so how do you talk to your teens about sex? Well, one strategy I actually encourage my couples to use is to just ask questions. Find out what they know already, because a lot of times they have talked to others and they have some good information and they have some misinformation. So part of the reason why you just ask some questions, like you'll ask, well, what do you know? Like, what have you learned about sex? What are the kids saying in your school? These open-ended questions allow them to kind of open up to you and explore, what they already know. It's very important to take a non-judgmental approach. So you can't ask them questions to accuse them or to punish them. That actually is going to shut down that conversation. You're really trying to be curious and explore sexuality and create a space where they feel open enough to talk to you. So if you punish them or criticize them, then you're never going to talk to them again. They will not open up. And so your approach of being non-judgmental and really curious is really key. And it's going to be hard. So parents, I know this is not easy, right? When they tell you things and you struggle with that, it's okay to also be honest with them and say, it's tough for me to talk to you about this because what I want to do is lock you up in your room and never let you walk out and never let you kiss or date. That's okay to be honest about, so long as you don't actually do those things, because that will definitely shut down the conversation and they'll never want to talk to you again, and they'll date and hide behind your back and sneak out of the house. So we don't want that. That's actually really dangerous for them. So anyhow, but that doesn't mean you can't be honest with them if you struggle with the topic, because they can sense it. So be honest. That is another tip. Just be honest. Don't lie to your kids. They know when you're lying. Teenagers are really smart kids, and while they don't know everything, they definitely can tell when they're being lied to and when you're doing the parent thing. It's well, this is what it's like and it's terrible and you should never do that. Kids are smart, so just be honest with them. Tell them stories about what you struggled with when you were a kid. Talk to them about if they have misinformation. Talk to them about what the real deal is. This is what, for example, a really common misinformed thing is that, so for girls, being told that they're supposed to give blowjobs to boys if they're on a date with them. That's misinformation. They don't have to give a blowjob at all. If they want to do something like that, that is a different story. But I think some girls are pressured to do things that they're not ready to do. And so even having this conversation can give you a chance to say to your daughter, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do if you're not ready to do anything sexual. You're allowed to say, hey, let's go home. Maybe we'll see where this goes later. It's also important in those situations to be able to give her tips on safety. If you're worried about that, don't be alone with him in his room or in a basement, stay in public for a time. Also, don't date somebody who's like that. So if your teenage son, let's flip the same conversation. Say your teenage son tells you, well, when you go on a date, that's what you should expect. You can break that misinformation as well and say, no, that's not true. And if she shows you any sign that she's not ready for something like that, then you need to be deeply respectful of that. Teaching him about how to gain consent, if he does want to kiss her, or him, because, of course you can have multiple sexualities. People identify in many different ways, right? But so basically what you're trying to do is open up this conversation so that it's a Q&A. You're questioning them to explore, but you're also opening up the table for them to question you about things well, what should I do in this situation? And the coolest thing is if you can create this often, what you're doing is creating teachable moments. You're getting a space to educate them on how to be a good young man and a good young woman. But you can only do that if you are creating that safe space for them to talk. So those are my tips. I encourage you guys to talk to your teens as much as possible about sex, because educated children make better decisions, more discerning decisions, right? Okay, thank you. I hope you continue to like, share, and subscribe these videos. I offer them every week because I want to educate the world about relationships and sex. And if you need my help, go to www.therapistintstlouis.com to make an appointment. Thank you.